So just before we do the chanting, yes, sorry, obviously for last week having to cancel. I decided to cancel on the Friday night rather than wait and guessing the next day. As you're probably aware, Mum had a bad fall and had to have some surgery. And then, of course, actually it worked out the correct decision because we were driving home when class would have been on after the surgery. So she's doing okay, considering. Slowly feeling a bit better, but obviously lots of wounds and things, and she's getting some nursing every 3 days, and also about the same with cleaning, with bathing, and we've got to go back to the hospital for the post-op appointment next Friday. And so that covered. I won't go into any more detail than that. Also, I just share with you that Leanne is not available to host the class on the 7th of March, so in 2 weeks' time. And Leisha is actually away, so she's unable to host as well. So unfortunately, we're going to have to cancel the 7th of March. I will remind you by text and also on Facebook, etc. And so these are the first two classes we've had to cancel since we started these Zoom classes back 5.5 years ago now. Of course, we've taken a few off during the holiday season and whatnot, but these are the first actually that we had to cancel. I did think about doing the 7th myself, but I would have to learn how to do it and learn how to do the video and process this and process that. And I thought better to just take the week off. Okay. Anyway, so we're doing this week and we're doing next week. And then, of course, we're back to hopefully every week as we've been doing. Okay, so let's do the chanting right now. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham saranam gacchami, dhammam saranam gacchami, sangham saranam gacchami, tudayambi buddham saranam gacchami, tudayambi dhammam saranam gacchami, tudayambi sangham saranam gacchami, tadayambi buddham saranam gacchami, tadayambi dhammam saranam gacchami, tadayambi sangham saranam gacchami. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May they be free from suffering and its causes. May they never be parted from the happiness beyond suffering. May they abide in equanimity, free of bias, attachment to the near, and aversion from the far. I shall cause this great compassionate Buddha, please inspire me to be able to do so. Reverently, I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind, and present clouds of every types of offerings, actual and mentally transformed. I confess all of my negative actions accumulated since beginningless time, and rejoice in all the virtues of all holy and ordinary beings. Please remain until cyclic existence ends, and turn the wheel of Dharma for all sentient beings. I dedicate the virtues of myself and others to the great enlightenment. However innumerable all sentient beings are, I vow to save them all. However inexhaustible my delusions are, I vow to extinguish them all. However immeasurable the Dharma teachings are to master them all. However endless the Buddha's way is to follow it completely. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Tayata Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhiso. Tayata Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhiso. Tayata Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhiso. So, first of all, I'd like to say as well, thank you for all the well wishes for Mum after her bad fall. And also just to alleviate any questions or queries. It was all superficial injuries, very severe ones in certain areas, but thankfully no breakages and no internal bleeding, which is good. I know I got asked that question a few times. Okay, so now that that's over and done with for today's class, let's do some meditation. Try your best during the meditation to not move around unless you really have to. So bring your mind inside your body and we will release the tension from the areas that we focus on, starting at the tips of your toes, working way up to your shoulders, down to the tips of your fingers, then up to the top of your head. So starting all around your feet, toes, toe bones, top of the feet, bottom of the feet, the balls, the arches, the heels, around your ankles and Achilles tendons, and the lower leg, calf muscles, and shins, and all around your knees, and the upper leg, quad muscles, hamstring muscles, and midsection, the lower back, on your hips and around your hips, groin muscles. I should mention the glutes before the lower back as well. Also the lower back, just above your hips and the lower stomach. Further up your stomach and sides to the center of your back. And all around your chest and underneath your arms. And your upper back. Rhomboid muscles, lateral muscles, up to the upper trap muscles. And now release from your shoulders and upper arms, biceps and triceps. And all around your elbows and forearms, wrists, hands, fingers and thumbs. And now up to your neck. Release from all around your neck. From the back of your head. And the sides of your head. Around your ears and temples. And all around your face. Around your cheekbones and cheeks. Make sure you're not clenching your jaw. Release from your chin and all around your mouth. And your nose. Eye sockets, sinuses, eyes. Make sure you're not frowning. Nice relaxed face. And finally, from the crown of your head, release any tension. And now scan the body once more, from the bottom to the top. And if there's any leftover tension, release that tension. Now bring your focus to the tip of your nose initially and follow the feeling of the breath as we breathe in the nose all the way into the lungs and back out the nose again, and so on and so forth. Keeping your mind on the feeling of the breath as you breathe in and out. You can also utilize an extra technique of counting the breaths to help you keep focused on the breath. Count from 1 to 10. One in breath, one out breath is 1, and so on. And if you get distracted on the way towards 10, go back to 1 at that time. So if thoughts arise or any mental activity, mental agitation arises, don't cling to it or grasp at it. Also, don't try to force it away or deny it, but simply and naturally let it go as you replace your mind back onto your breath. And if your mind starts to become dull or sleepy, then wake it up a little bit by refocusing on your breath more brightly. So all we have to do right now physically is breathe. All we have to do mentally is focus on the feeling of the breath as we breathe. And then if the mind wanders, replace it back onto the breath. It's simple, isn't it? Uncomplicated. But of course, we have the habits of mental afflictions. And so our habit is to be distracted. That's what makes it complicated. So as we practice this, once again, I remind you to keep your body still. Resist any urges to move physically. Even things like scratching an itch, let it go for right now. Don't worry about it. Short meditation. Breathing in and breathing out. Don't have your focus be too tight or too loose. Middle path. So let's practice like this for a little bit in silence. So now you can feel really pleased with yourself and fill yourself with universal loving kindness, utilizing the visualization of filling your whole being with white light, representing this universal loving kindness. Metta is the Pali word for universal loving kindness, sometimes translated just as kindness or love or loving kindness. I like to put the word universal before it because it can be developed beyond measure. Metta, or in Sanskrit, Maitri, it's a multifaceted word when it's related to English, translated to English. It can also mean honesty and friendliness, respect and appreciation and gratitude, harmlessness, non-violence, and so on. So we fill our whole being with these qualities right now. Extending it, you could say, to yourself, internalizing it as well. So fill yourself with so much universal loving kindness that it now overflows, radiates outwards. The white light leaving your heart chakra, the heart center, and shining outwards, radiating outwards, and entering into the heart centers of your loved ones, family and friends initially in front of you. And filling them with the universal loving kindness too. Have the wish that they are happy, free from suffering, and are peaceful. And now radiate further and further. Now also include strangers and do likewise. And also those you may regard as enemies and do likewise. So now we're going to extend the loving kindness out further and further distance-wise to all sentient beings now, whether you know about them or not, whether you have an affinity towards them, or whether they are like strangers, or even you don't like them or fear them. Extend this universal loving kindness to all of these beings, the ones that live on the land and under the land, live in the waters, fly through the air, whether born from wombs, eggs, moisture, or through transformation. All sentient beings, whether weak or strong, great or small, short or tall, seen or unseen, near or distant, born or to be born, wish that they are all happy, free from suffering, and are peaceful, and that all sentient beings work their way towards swiftly attaining unsurpassed supreme enlightenment. So now extend your loving kindness out further and further throughout your whole state or county. And all of the states and counties throughout the world, or throughout your country, I should say, initially. And throughout all of the countries, those you have an affinity towards, those you're indifferent towards, those you may have some negative feelings about. And also have your loving kindness pervade throughout all of the waterways, or bodies of water, the oceans and so on, and down to the core of the earth and to the outermost atmosphere. Radiate your loving kindness throughout the whole solar system. and the galaxy and the universe and beyond. Have your loving kindness pervade throughout infinite space, whilst also being present here and now and reciting the dedication prayer. Due to this merit, may I soon attain the enlightened state of the Buddha, so that I may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their suffering. May the precious body, Chitta, not yet born, rise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. And may the precious view of Shunyata, not yet born, rise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. So we will continue the commentary on the article Meditation and its benefits, getting to know your mind. We're about 2/3 away through the article. I kind of, what we can say, top-ended it. Did a lot of commentary in certain spots up front. So this last third will be much shorter. Most of it anyway. I haven't really sort of looked at the back ends there. But yeah, it's talking about some instruction on meditation practice now, of which we have this already, don't we, at the start of the classes? But I'll just reiterate and then expand upon certain points. Okay. So the one paragraph we'll have a look at today that we were going to do last week is the following: is some simple instruction on meditation. Firstly, practice recitation of taking refuge in the triple gem: Buddha, the supreme enlightened teacher; Dharma, the teaching that leads to enlightenment; and the Sangha, the supportive, harmonious community that upholds and shares the teachings, along with any other verses or prayers, verses, and teachings that you are familiar with. And this is what we'll tackle next week. Sit quietly in a comfortable position, close your eyes, bring your mind to your body, and from the bottom to the top, release any physical tension. Then bring your mind to your breath, breathing in and breathing out. Just simply follow your breath. Whenever thoughts arise or you become distracted, let go of the thoughts or distractions without force and gently place your mind back on your breath. If your mind becomes dull or sleepy, just refocus more brightly on your breath. This way, replacing your mind on your breath becomes the antidote for both the distracted and worried mind, as well as the dull mind. Set yourself about 20 minutes to do this, although as mentioned, you can meditate for as long as you like. Be patient with yourself. It gets easier with practice. Remember that even if we plan to walk around the whole world, we can only ever take one step at a time. At the end of the meditation session, dedicate all of your merits to all sentient beings and the realization of supreme enlightenment. I thought I'd read that one out to you as well. Okay, so I'll just follow the words here. The following is some simple instruction on meditation. So obviously we can go into more detail. Keep it quite simple in this article, quite short. And because I wanted to really mention some benefits, as mentioned by the title, benefits of meditation. And one of the benefits, probably the main benefit, is getting to know your mind, both the relative mind, but also eventually deep down to the, you could say, loosely, ultimate mind, enlightened mind. Okay. So that's the main purpose, is to point out the benefits. But I also wanted to add this to the article to give people the opportunity to actually put into practice, even if it's only on a surface level to begin with. So that's why I say simple instruction on meditation. But in saying that word simple doesn't always just mean like surface or beginners or even intermediate, because the more the mind becomes pure, the more you develop this concentration, the more you start to realize or work your way towards at least creating the conditions to realize the nature of reality, the more simple things are. That's why I said before, uncomplicated. The ultimate truth is uncomplicated. The cryptic saying that I have for many, many years now is zero and infinity make more sense to me than all of the numbers in between. Because they're so simple. Infinity, uncountable, innumerable, immeasurable. Zero, don't worry about it. Nothing. Pretty much the same things, really. But all of the numbers in between. And what I mean by this, so enlightenment, or even if you just look at wisdom, the perfection of wisdom is like the zero and infinity. No self, no complications, no worries. But also infinite wisdom, not separate from infinite compassion. What I mean by cryptically by all of the numbers in between is all of the mental afflictions that give rise to other mental afflictions and give rise to cause and effect. Of course, we make the causes, we will experience the effect until the ignorance is uprooted. So that's what I mean by that. So simple can also not be what we generally call simple. It can also be the clearing away of all the complications, of all of the mental afflictions. Let me look at the time. Plenty of time. So it's an important point to make, and I'm glad I thought about it. I wasn't going to speak about that, but the word simple can be uncomplicated, can be vast, beyond blockages. Firstly, I guess mainly you say, firstly, sit, quiet spot, or even if you're walking, or wherever you are. Just bring the Dharma to mind, focusing your mind. And then next, practice recitation by taking refuge in the triple gem. Do at least this. Even if you don't do it out loud, just do it in your mind. I take refuge in the Buddha. The Buddha of our time, either known or known by many names, but Sakyamuni Buddha or Gautama Buddha, or the other way around, Buddha Sakyamuni or Buddha Gautama. Gautama, to remind you, is the family name. Sakyamuni is its honorific title. Sage. Muni means sage. It's the Sakyas, the kingdom he was born into. So the sage of the Sakyas. Okay. But also other Buddhas since beginningless time. Say Buddhas of the past, present, and into the future. And therefore, you are also taking refuge in your own Buddha nature. So quite often people think refuge outside, there's the statue of the Buddha or some sort of image of the Buddha, or even in the mentally, the thought of the Buddha or something like that, mental image, concept. In a sense, yes, we do that, but eventually to work our way to taking refuge in our own enlightened nature. But don't get ahead of yourself. Don't kid yourself. We've got a ways to go. And so you're taking refuge in the triple gem, the Buddha. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. Or as we say in Pali, Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami. Or in Sanskrit, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. But you can do it in English as well. It's quite easy. You can add more to that. The unsurpassed supreme, the enlightened one. You could say that instead of the word Buddha. The Dharma, the immaculate teachings, or the way to the truth. You can also say the spiritual community, the supportive, harmonious spiritual community, instead of the word Sangha. But it's quite easy to say Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, isn't it? So the Buddha, the supreme enlightened teacher. The Buddha is teacher. He has realized enlightenment himself. So what better teacher can we have than somebody who is teaching the way to realize what they have already realized? The rest of us teachers, we haven't realized enlightenment yet. Maybe there's certain things along the path we've realized, so we can share that. And we can also share the deeper teachings, but also giving a disclaimer, though, isn't it? I am not a Buddha. I am not high-level bodhisattva. I am teaching you some things that I have learned myself. Maybe some of them are not direct, more indirect, learning from my teachers, learning from my own efforts and studies and so on, and contemplation, utilizing the three wisdom tools, for instance. But wow, the Buddha, this is so precious, written down in the Tripitaka, the Pali Canon, as well as the Mahayana Canon. And then, of course, all the Shastras or commentaries on the sutras throughout the ages by the great masters. We have this in writing, and we have some teachers in the world to be able to explain, give commentaries on these as well. So fantastic. So the Buddha, the supreme enlightened teacher, the Dharma, the teaching that leads to enlightenment. You could say that the Buddha prescribes the Dharma, like a great physician, a great doctor. He prescribes the Dharma. And then the Sangha, spiritual community, not just monks and nuns now, but the fourfold Sangha of lay people, male and female, as well as lay and female monastics. Predominantly, say, monastics when it comes to teaching. Not always, but predominantly. This is the Sangha. The Sangha administer the medicine of the Dharma and are supportive. So if we need some help in our practice, help in our understanding, be able to practice and so on, then we go to the Sangha. This could be our Dharma friends. We could have a discussion with groups of people. Could be on the telephone. Could be on Zoom, And so we take refuge in the Sangha as well. So taking refuge in the teacher, the supreme physician, taking refuge in the teachings that he prescribes, the path to the truth, and also taking refuge in the Sangha. This is also realizing that all sentient beings can attain enlightenment. All Buddhist practitioners are Sangha. And you could say as well, if you go further beyond that, all living beings are Sangha. They may not realize it yet, though. Okay, so that's why we call triple gem, most precious three things that we know in the universe: the teacher, the teachings, and the support as we engage on the path to enlightenment. So the supportive, harmonious community that upholds and shares the teachings, along with any other prayers, verses, and teachings that you are familiar with. So there could be sutras, maybe the Heart Sutra, Loving Kindness Sutra, parts of other sutras that you may want to chant as well before you practice the meditation. And any other prayers as well. Maybe you have longer versions of the ones we do, or from some other traditions. For instance, maybe you are engaging in the prayer or the chanting of reciting the verses that praise the Buddha, for instance, or repentance prayers, and any other teachings. It could be teachings from other teachers, the great masters throughout the ages. For instance, there's a short verse that I chant from Master Huineng, sixth patriarch of Chinese Buddhism, in my daily practice. Nothing from the past to hang on to, nothing from the present to hang on to, nothing from the future we can yet grasp. So I learned that from the sixth patriarch teaching, known as the Sutra of Huineng, known as Sutra because it's equal to the Buddha's teachings, but probably best to be known as the teachings of Huineng, the sixth patriarch of Chinese Buddhism. Of course, the first patriarch was Master Bodhidharma, and then went on from there. So we've only got a little less than 3 minutes to go. So all the other verses that we do, of course, the first one we do is paying homage to the Buddha. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the Supremely Enlightened One, or Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sammasambuddhassa. Important verse, all of these important verses. Then, of course, you're generating bodhicitta to develop this great compassionate intention, altruistic intention, and utilizing, saying we're going to practice the 6 paramitas to realize this bodhicitta. And that we're doing it for the benefit of other living beings, of all sentient beings. And then, of course, we chant the 4 immeasurables to develop the love or loving kindness, compassion, empathetic joy, and equanimity. Then we have the 7-limb prayer, which is 7 different practices, including paying homage again, taking refuge, making offerings, confessing all of our negativities, rejoicing in all the goodness, asking for the Dharma teachings, really wishing the Dharma teachings remain in the world and that there are always teachers to teach us. And then dedicating all of our merits to all sentient beings and the great enlightenment. The great enlightenment means the enlightenment of all sentient beings. And then, of course, we say we are going to practice the Bodhisattva path. And this takes the form, or in the form here, the shortest form of Bodhisattva vows, the 4 great vows of the Bodhisattva. And then we chant the mantra Om Mani Padme Hum to develop more and more compassion, and chanting the Heart Sutra mantra of Gati Gati Pada Samgati Bodhisoha to develop the wisdom. And of course, when the bodhicitta, our great compassion, and the wisdom are united, perfected and united, then this is enlightenment. So we are preparing our mind for the meditations as we do the chanting before the meditations, but also preparing our mind along with the meditations to realize the supreme, unsurpassed supreme enlightenment in due course. So I rejoice in your goodness, and as always, and I look forward to seeing you next week where we continue this commentary. Please look after yourself, and look after your mind, look after your body. Study, practice, and share the Dharma to the best of your ability. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo Amitabha Buddha.